Welcome back to the garage. It's a nice spring afternoon and it's time to start working on these front brakes. I've already had these off, that's why they're loose. There's a trick to these and I can't remember what it is.
One eternity later.
Yeah, here we go. That doesn't look like a gasket, that looks like a piece of ledger paper or something. This is locked on by the nut, I guess. There. Cotter pin didn't want to come out. I don't think that's a good sign. Last I checked, they're not supposed to be that loose. Not even tight. Guess it doesn't need to be with the cotter pin. I don't know much about these Dual-Matic hubs. They seem to be pretty well greased though, so clean them up, put some new lube in there. Maybe do a video on that. Now we're getting into the part that I remember. Because these front hubs are the same as the Bantam trailers were. Someone's been in here with the chisel. This old Scottish engineer used to say the right tool for the right job. It's a bit jacked up. Fortunately, replacements are readily available. In fact, now that I think about it, I might have had the foresight to buy one already. Well, these are always the most fun to get out when they're covered in grease. Come on, so close. There we go. Where's the rest of it? Yeah, this one's in slightly better shape. Well, it's still got some dings in it. And there should be a flat washer back here. Let's give it a little shimmy. We had no front brakes. Look at that. Yikes. Fortunately, I had the foresight to pick up a couple of these. Maybe you remember from a couple episodes back. Well, I'm looking at the big old cut on the edge of this thing, and I get the feeling that this drum is at its service limit, if not a little bit beyond. If I compare it to the ones from the back, there's a lot more meat on there. I'm really hoping these S-lines are in okay shape, because last I checked they were back ordered forever. That's kind of the frustrating part on these things, is you go and do half of them, and you come back a couple months later and you don't remember where all your tools are. I know I had the sockets sitting out to get these two specifically out of here, but I don't know where they are. Well, this is funny to me. Months and months ago, when I was just ordering every part I figured I would need, what did I pick up? The whole axle nut sets for the fronts. Turns out, yep, need them. Alright, come on, be cool, give me a break. Give me a break without actually breaking. Oh, you guys see that? Yeah, that is exactly what I was trying to avoid. Now I need S-lines. Well, while I'm here, I can at least get the rest of it. It is kind of weird how memory is strongly associated with smell. I'm over here on the greasiest part of this Jeep right now, and there's this overwhelming smell of old grease and brake fluid and brake dust, and these are probably asbestos brake pads, and I'm probably gonna get mesothelioma in a few years because of it. But that's beside the point. It's the smell, though. I can't help but remember going to Grandpa's, and he would always just smell of grease and stuff because he was the type of man who always did this kind of stuff. So that was just interesting to me. I'm just sitting here, catch a whiff of that, and it's almost like going back to childhood, visiting Grandpa. Ooh. That S-line is not coming out. Not a chance. Yeesh. This is what I'm dealing with. That line does not look great, but that bracket. I mean, now that I look at this bracket and try to bend it a little bit, I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be bent that badly. Because look at this bump stop. Looks like it's been tearing into that for a while. And yeah, this is it's pretty cooked. I'm glad I'm doing this the right way instead of half-assing it, huh? All right, how about you? You gonna behave? Well, okay then. That's one way to do it. So yeah, that's done. That's cooked. That I don't believe was gonna come off in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'm 0 for 2 on brake line fittings thus far. I suppose this is kind of the way I wanted to go with this channel. There's a lot of those automotive channels on YouTube that'll go out there and show you only the neat parts, and they'll put it behind a time lapse so you don't really get to experience it. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of prefer those channels where you actually sit down and do work and you see the whole thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know? And this turned a bit uglier. I mean, I didn't expect that it wasn't going to be this bad, but I just would have rather it gone a bit easier. I don't know, I might find myself replacing this too. Yeesh. I was trying to keep that in its shape because I'd like to use this as a template to make the new one. And I think I might just have the skills built up to do one of these for the first time and replace this line. Or I'll go buy some preformed ones. I don't know how much of this you guys are gonna care to watch. So I will not be insulted if you decide to just skip forward past this part. But I'm gonna go through the process here of measuring out and creating a new brake line. This may be the only one I actually do show. Once you've seen one done, you've kind of seen them all, I guess. That looks slightly flared. Now for the double. That feels well, I'm having some GoPro issues. The thing feels like it's overheating and then doing a logic lockup. So, you missed this. I don't know how I feel about these. They sure are shaped correctly. The insides of the flares look, pretty good from my amateur opinion. This end seems a bit better. It's these brass ends that I'm not sure about. I was doing more testing with these steel ones, and on my test ones from the past, they pressed from the underside differently than these. So I don't know if these are right or wrong, but I guess the one way to find out is to bend it up correctly, install it, apply some pressure, and if it starts spurting brake fluid everywhere, I'll go get some preformed ones, because this will be a failure, and this is something that cannot fail. But now I'll go ahead and get my bender here and try to approximate this. Well, now I can't decide if I'm getting brave or stupid. These S-lines, I don't know if those are a do-it-yourself item or not, but that doesn't look too bad. Well, the GoPro's battery is doing whatever it wants to do, keeps turning itself off, but this is my first and perhaps only attempt at making an S-line. Kind of compare it to the original here, and it's close. It looks to be about the right length. I got most of the bends in. I'm not confident in my double flares. They look right, but this is a component I'm trusting my life to, and the lives of other people on the road. So I don't know, but it feels like I've gone from having never made a single brake line in my life to trying to do a do-it-yourself version of the hardest thing to make. So, I don't know. But I took my time. I tried using the bender. It made a couple of good bends and a couple of really bad ones. Then I just ended up, grabbing the old wrenches here and just, bending it around as needed. And that seemed to work surprisingly well. So this lines up pretty well with what it needs to be. I might put it on there and test it. I might just go buy some preformed lines and just be done with it, because this is time consuming, a little bit stressful. I don't know, but we'll see. The next day, I've got that one line installed. I'm gonna have to go pick up some more of these brake clip things, because this one was not present. The do-it-yourself S line, however, though, was a complete fail. I think I've got the length of it wrong, and I almost had those bends right, but it just does not fit. So back to the drawing board on that one. Well, here's your quick tech tip of the day, as I've just had to figure out. These front brakes are different than those rear brakes are. You need a 3/4 wrench to get that bottom bolt off for the eccentrics here. And the one I had was just a regular wrench. Somewhere over there I've got an offset wrench that worked on the back but did not quite work on the front. So to move forward on getting the pads off, you gotta go to everyone's favorite cheap tool store, and you gotta get yourself one of these. These are double offsets. So you need to get yourself a 3/4, and you're gonna have to grind down the surface. Look at the other end. That's pretty beefy. It's too big to fit behind the backing plate. So you gotta go over to your trusty belt sander and thin that guy out quite a bit so it'll fit between here. Otherwise, you're gonna do what I did and have a really rough time just trying to make whatever tools you got work, when a quick trip and about 20 minutes of grinding on a set of those will get you a tool that will do the job for, pretty cheap. So now, pads are off. Now, I just washed my hands, dang. Hang on. Much better. Should have done this to begin with. Okay, so I was commenting that these pads, there's a ton of life left on these. These things weren't very old when this thing was parked, but this thing had brake fluid dripping on it for a long time. So there's a bunch of oily stuff in this pad surface. It's the same story on the front. Ton of meat left, but kind of oily and greasy. And oil and grease are two things you do not want on your braking surface. So those, despite having a lot of meat left on them, are gone, and I'm going to go ahead and just use the new ones I've already got, because that was the plan from the start. Long story short, had a GoPro issue. It's fixed, but better late than never. So, front brakes. First off, yes, mounted, done, sweet. Front brakes are done minus drums. Those S-lines are a bear. And I need to remake the main line going to the master cylinder. That's a project for another day. Passenger side, brakes are done minus the hubs. New cylinders in, S-lines in, soft lines in. The line from this side to the T on the axle is actually in good shape. So I probably won't be replacing that one. It looks like it's the most recently replaced thing on this thing before I got to it. So, whew, relief. I am glad we got that part knocked out, because that was kind of a bear. So, I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching on these rambling videos. I'm getting these things done as quickly as I can, but man, there's a lot to do.